right, welcome back. Now, the debate over restructuring is not dying down anytime soon. More Nigerians have continued to back the cause for re-engineering the composition of the country. Now, those pro-restructuring want power at the center decongested.
Now, they fault the federal government's stance on the matter, pointing out that failure to restructure will further plunge Nigeria into avoidable crisis. Joining us in the studio is a political analyst, Babatunde Bakanthony. It's nice to have you in the studio.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Now, let us even understand, from reports we're hearing, comments from people here and there, it seems the restructuring we are all clamoring for from different parts of the country is not even the same. Are we confused as to what this restructuring is all about?
Well, I mean, I believe what we are talking about and what is paramount to every one of us is physical federation. That is the bottom line, right? We want to devolve power, right? How accountable do we want to be? Do you understand? And how genuine and sincere do we want to be? About bottom line is the resources, the bread and butter. Where is it coming from? Where is it going? And we are clamoring for that. I don't think anybody else is asking for the same thing. For me, the unity of Nigeria is non-negotiable, period. We have been here for such a long time. And if you look back, right, the issue is that there is no will. Look back at 79 Constitution. We embarked on American system of government. That was the choice we took, right?
So it was a major restructuring at that time?
Of course. That was the step we took at that time. State because autonomous. But what happened at the end of the day? The governors then, what were they able to do? Those who knew their onions then, you could look at Lagos, you could look at Kano, right? They did what they could do in their state within their own resources.
Well, you
right?
just made a statement now that the unity of Nigeria is non-negotiable.
That's
now,
right.
when the discussion or the discourse around restructuring comes up, the word unity comes to mind. Isn't that the fundamental problem now, that we're mixing it up? You know, the unity of Nigeria and restructuring, these are two different issues, but somehow, you know, we tend to
together.
Yeah, we tend to muddle it up.
I made the statement that clearly, what we are discussing here, is not about dividing Nigeria.
It's not about the unity of Nigeria.
That is it.
Okay. Yes.
So people should not use that. And I don't think the noise of some people, of some groups, should be seen as what has pushed us to this. This has always been on the table, right? Because the physical federation is missing. I mean, the noise during the days of the military, when the South got 13% derivation from their crude resources, right, was part of what we are talking about. That let's give Caesar what belongs to Caesar, right? If they got 13% now, if we go further, they could get more. So where does Lagos stand? I remember a few months ago, when the Lagos senators stood up in the assembly and demanded, Senator Tinubu demanded a status for Lagos State, which is so normal, which is so right.
Special status
for Lagos. But for this, they did not let thing go through. Now anything in Nigeria, to be sincere, let's be sincere. You want proper restructuring? Lagos is a talking point. The governor has brought it up again. Lagos is a talking point.
So what you're saying is every region should decide what it gives to the center, as opposed to let us give you 13% or 15 or whatever percentage.
As derivation.
You know,
you see, there's a tape going around now about Chief Awolowo, right? When he was talking about the Nigerian state and the regions, you understand me? And the basic responsibility of the federal government is clear. And of the, you call them the region, you call them the state, we're talking the same thing at the end of the day. Do you understand me? What is their position? Their resources, they must give some to the center, right? To make sure our defense, our immigration, our custom is working. Then we are looking at community policing, state police, federating unit. New York State, New York Police Department is not centralized. There's LA Police Department, there's Chicago Police Department, right? People who understand the dynamic of that society, of that community, and the people who police those community. Looking back, a lot of IG of police, when they left office, they will not tell you they support state police. But when they are there, they don't want that part to be reduced.
I wonder what's responsible for that.
Do you understand me?
But that's a matter for
so many
day.
things that you look at it now, the structuring, the Western region already, we have this new called DAWN, Developmental Agenda for Western Nigeria. Lagos State has even joined the Odua group. It's for mutual benefit. We have the Southeast State, we have the South State. Tinapa is something that all South can tap into. It's a trade-free zone. So as we go along, we will correct the mistakes between you and I. What is the business of Edo State being South State? Let's be realistic. Are we trying to match numbers? This is not an even country. You don't have to have 6 states from a region. It doesn't have to be so.
Okay.
Right. Now, with in fact, let's even break it down a little.
Yeah.
There has been the call for restructuring from across the length and breadth of the country. Now, there's also suspicion.
Yeah.
When it comes from the second part, there's a suspicion from the other side. What is really what are Nigerians afraid of, or what's the government afraid of, or whoever is saying that they shouldn't be, as a case? What are they afraid of? Really?
If you look back, I think the point is that, you see, an average person who does not look further into the future does not understand today. Because if you look back very well, afraid of what? Governance is continuum. We will leave Nigeria. You will leave the office. You need to do what is right for people to build on it. But if you refuse to do what is right, you will be a victim yourself. If you look at the 79 Constitution, even it was a military, it was planned. They got to power in July, by October, CDC was already in place, right? By the following year, there was the local government election. We knew then Rotimi Williams was the chairman of the Constitutional Drafting Committee. By 78, they are already debating. By 70, they are already debating the Constitution. People were elected to the Constituent Assembly. Yeah. With elected local government people already in office. Go and debate. Let's see what we want to do about it. But right now, people are talking from different perspectives. What do we want? We want people, we want equitable. We want equity, we want justice. We want fair play.
So how is this achievable then? In the words of OBJ, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, instead of restructuring, people should concentrate on issues of inclusiveness and restructuring of their minds. How can this be achieved? I mean, you talk about equity, fairness, and justice. Can this really be achieved without, tackling the foundational problem, which is the ground norm, the Constitution itself? People are saying, look, this 1999 Constitution is not going to take us anywhere, and that's where we need to start from.
To an extent, I agree with that statement we just made. Not the OBJ statement, but with your statement, to be fair. Of course, 1999 Constitution, I mean, how many years ago was that? It was something that was put together by the military. There was no, because of the eagerness to return to a republic. Maybe that is their reason. It was not done properly. And right now, we have in 79 Constitution, and it's still there. Still there. Call the academics, the legal mind, like the military did in 75. And they were able to get the attention of well-bred Nigerians who tackle this issue. But looking back, our mind, what is wrong with our mind is that, you understand me, we are biased, we are too suspicious, like you said, of one another. But the point is that if you are doing the right thing, I'm telling you, if you are doing the right thing, people will see you are doing the right thing. We all know what is right, we all know what is wrong. Telling me Lagos should not get a special status, it's wrong. It's not fair. Do you understand me?
But that's only a minute part of the whole debate of restructuring.
The issue of VAT is there. The issue of Southeast getting 6 states less, a state less of other region is there. Do you understand me? The issue of derivation is there. The issue of cutoff point is there. If you regulate your area for your standard, not a problem. Not a problem. But let us all come to the center at the same footing.
How will this then be achieved? This coming to the center.
The point there is Nigerians have not really visualized the possibility, because it seemed like when we had regions between 1960 and 1966, so many Nigerians now have forgotten how it actually worked. Because the issue there is they hear the story, we all hear the story of the northern region had this, the eastern region had this, the western region had this, but the workings at that, it seems Nigerians have forgotten how it will really, or it's going to really work.
That is why we should bring history back to school.
Well, I understand he's been put back now.
Well,
that's put back now, so,
that's a fantastic
so we hope that
we need to go, tell our kids to go back and tell our young politicians to go back and read and see what that was all about. Then we can start processing that if we are at regions level, 3 regions, and Abo was at the Jebu man, who did so much in Ife, did so much in Ekiti, did so much in Ondo, did so much in Ibadan. I don't think he did anything major, even in Jebu, where he came from. You go to the north as well. Ahmadu Bello was from Sokoto, Zik was from Onitsha. Where was the development? And they were able to get down to those places. It's all delegation of authority. We still have the same thing in power.
So it's very achievable.
It's very achievable.
Well, Afenifere, through Odumake, the spokesman of Afenifere, said that Obasanjo, for example, who governed this country for 8 years, was not able to achieve much because of the structure of the country. And Buhari, who, with all the good intentions that he has, wanting to fight corruption, leakages and loopholes in the system and all of that, if the structure of the country is not corrected, even he could fail, God forbid,
I don't know which Afenifere you are talking about.
There's only one Afenifere that we all know about.
That he's speaking from.
Yes, so it's a structural problem that Nigeria has. That's what they're saying. And until we get that right.
But what is the structural problem they're talking about? I don't understand the structural problem they're talking about.
Which includes devolution of powers, for example. Give power to the regions and let them decide their fate and their fortune.
Very well. The states are autonomous. Talking about regions, or call it anything you call it. It's the same thing. If you are not telling me that you want Southwest, Southeast, South to have their own premier, who the governor should report to, is that what we are talking about? That we have gone past that.
So what should we be looking at?
The governors are there. They should give more states what we want. Is that more states should be able to control what their own natural resources are. To an extent, Nigeria survived, Western region survived, Eastern survived. There was coal. Until today, coal is still a big thing in Europe. It's still a big deal in Europe. Cocoa is still there. We should program our mind and let our governors look inwards. How many chocolate factories do we have in Western Nigeria with all our cocoa that is locally made? Let's talk about it. Let's look at that. Go to the east, there's coal there. Coal is still very, very viable in Europe. Do you understand me? Tin and oil in the north is still there. We have a lot of resources in Ondo State. Let us.
Every part of this country, every state has some.
In all of this.
But when they are used to cap in hand, to get what doesn't belong to them, they relax.
Well, a lot of analysts have blamed the military for that configuration where states have to go to the federal government to collect and then go back to share, cap in hand.
It's what Wole Soyinka describes as monkey they walk.
Exactly.
Yes, very true.
So, in all of it, there has been national conference, not once, not twice. And it is felt that leaders, opinion thinkers, and elders came together to think and reason for the benefit of the country. Is that where we should really start from when it comes to adopting the communique or the report or recommendations of the National Conference?
You know, you said there's been a lot of assembly or whatever you call it, but you know, the military, we blame them to an extent, with due respect. We have had almost now, is it 18 years now? Since 99 of the new republic, uninterrupted, the longest in the history of the country called Nigeria. What have we done about it? Do you understand me? What can't we start correcting it? If we are sincere, can't we start correcting the ills of the military? Why can't we start doing that?
Where do we start?
We start from the National Assembly. You have empowered them. You have empowered them. They are representative. They are representative. So if you want to do anything, what President Jonathan did that time was just another kangaroo. You put people together. When you know you cannot do anything without going back to the chambers for approval. And they are there. They are there. Put it to them. Let them debate, let them talk about it, let them banter about it. Let us look. Every Nigerian has somebody represent them in that chamber, either in the Senate or in the reps. And we have a local assembly, we have councillor as well as legislative arm is there. Let us banter, let us be sincere with each other. We know you cannot compare California to Wisconsin. So you cannot expect what does not belong to you at the end of, but here, if I tell you now, what you bring is what you get, people will be more innovative in their state.
Yeah.
Not waiting for what you have done, you want to collect from me.
Well, the National Assembly you talk about, Nigerians, many Nigerians,
yes,
let me not say all, don't seem to have confidence in this National Assembly to actually represent their views on whether it's restructuring or whatever the views are in the first place. So how do we then, get to trust the National Assembly that they will do right? They'll deliver.
There are two things there, right? What do you expect of them to deliver, right? When it comes to the debate of the whole house, the Senate president will come down from his chair and sit as a member that debating issues. The leadership is something entirely, I don't want to talk about that. But at the end of the day, the result is that we voted them in, right? There are processes. Nigeria can be thorough. There are processes that we must follow. When few of us start that movement, things are going to work. They are there to represent. We have seen people trying to recall a senator now. It is not the first time.
But Britain, for example, even with their unicameral legislature, they still went out and did a referendum.
That's right.
Yes.
They did a referendum.
But even though the Nigerian constitution doesn't recognize
that, is it something that we should begin to tinker with?
Because our law makes it that the president will call a referendum, right? Seeking with the National Assembly, right? You see, the People's Court is an overwhelming court. So there's no way, if we voted for you as a senator, and we now said this is the way we want things to go, we are not giving the Senate that awesome responsibility with no kind of guide. Like debate this issue and come out to the People's Court.
So we're not giving them clearly exactly what to work on and work with.
What to work with is clear. Okay. That you know what you will want. Put your things on the table. We don't feel good about what we put in, what we get back.
Yeah, I think ultimately it has to do with constant engagement between the grassroots and they themselves. Well, thank you very much for coming on the program. Babatunde Bankanthony, thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. That debate, you can be sure, continues.
It continues.
It's not going to end anytime soon.
All right.